When we think about men's health after the age of 60, we often hear the same story. This is just part of aging. You may have been told that fatigue, declining energy, reduced sexual performance, or a sense of lost vitality are inevitable. But here's the truth. While aging does bring natural changes, science has shown us that how you nourish and support your body makes a profound difference in how you experience those years. 1 in 2 men over the age of 40 already report some degree of erectile difficulty, and by the time men reach 60, low energy and reduced stamina are among the most common complaints in the doctor's office. Yet these symptoms are often written off as just getting older. In reality, many of them are linked to specific deficiencies in essential vitamins and nutrients, things your body once had in abundance but may now be struggling to absorb or utilize. What often goes overlooked is the role that vitamins play not just in preventing disease, but in actively supporting testosterone production, muscle strength, brain clarity, and sexual vitality. These are not fringe ideas or internet health hacks. They are backed by decades of research from institutions like the Mayo Clinic, the National Institutes of Health, and Harvard Medical School. Think of your body like a finely tuned engine. In your younger years, the fuel and oil were plentiful. The system ran smoothly. But as decades pass, the filters clog, the engine burns through fuel differently, and without the right maintenance, performance declines. Vitamins are not magic bullets, but they are among the most fundamental tools we have to maintain that engine. Unfortunately, many men do not get this information until much later in life. Nutrition is rarely discussed in a detailed, personalized way in primary care visits. And because social media is full of quick fixes, pills, and exaggerated claims, many men either give up or turn to unproven supplements. That leaves them confused, skeptical, and sometimes ashamed of what they are experiencing. This conversation is different. Over the next half hour, I am going to walk you through 3 essential vitamins that research has consistently linked to better energy, improved sexual performance, and sustained vitality in men over 60. Along the way, we will separate fact from fear, bust some common myths, and give you practical steps you can start today. Steps that could make a real difference in how you feel and function. This is not about chasing youth. It is about giving your body the tools it needs to keep showing up for the life you want to live, whether that means being present with your partner, playing with your grandchildren, or simply waking up with more energy and clarity each morning. You deserve clarity, not fear. You deserve to know the science, not the myths. And most importantly, you deserve to feel empowered to take action. So let us begin by mapping out what we will cover today. 3 vitamins, 6 key insights, and 1 clear takeaway. Your vitality is not gone, it just needs the right support. Let us begin by asking a simple but important question. Why do vitamin deficiencies become more common after the age of 60? The answer lies in how the body changes with time, not just on the surface, but deep in the systems that control digestion, absorption, and metabolism. Here is what the research shows. As men age, stomach acid production often decreases. Stomach acid is critical for breaking down food and releasing key nutrients like vitamin B12, iron, and magnesium. When acid levels fall, absorption declines even if you are eating the same foods you always have. The National Institutes of Health has highlighted this phenomenon, noting that up to 1 in 3 older adults may have reduced stomach acid, a condition sometimes called atrophic gastritis. Medications are another factor. Many men over 60 are prescribed drugs for blood pressure, cholesterol, or acid reflux. While these medications are important, some of them can interfere with nutrient absorption. For example, long-term use of proton pump inhibitors, which are often used to manage reflux, is linked with reduced vitamin B12 and magnesium levels. Cholesterol-lowering drugs, particularly statins, may reduce levels of coenzyme Q10, another vital compound for energy. So, the very tools used to manage chronic conditions can inadvertently create new challenges for energy and performance. Think of it like a house. In your 30s and 40s, the wiring and plumbing work seamlessly, delivering power and water without interruption. But as the house ages, pipes may narrow, wiring may corrode, and suddenly you are not getting the same flow despite using the same inputs. The body works the same way, the infrastructure ages, and the delivery of nutrients becomes less efficient. Lifestyle also plays a role. Appetite often decreases with age, and many men find themselves eating smaller meals or less diverse diets. This is not always intentional, but it can reduce intake of essential vitamins. Combine that with less time outdoors and therefore less natural sunlight, and deficiencies like vitamin D become very common. The impact of these deficiencies is not minor. Low vitamin B12 can cause fatigue, brain fog, and even numbness or tingling in the hands and feet. Low vitamin D has been linked not only to weaker bones, but also to lower testosterone and higher rates of erectile dysfunction. And low antioxidant vitamins like vitamin E can accelerate vascular changes that limit blood flow to the brain, muscles, and even the penis. The good news is that once you understand why deficiencies happen, you can take clear steps to prevent them. Awareness is the first step, and this is something I tell my patients all the time. If you feel more tired, more sluggish, or less sharp than you used to, do not assume it is just old age. Very often, it is your body signaling that it needs replenishment. So as we move into the next section, let us take a closer look at the first essential vitamin, vitamin D. We will explore why it is called the sunshine vitamin, how it shapes testosterone and sexual health, and the practical ways you can restore and maintain it. Let us start with the first essential vitamin for men over 60, vitamin D. This nutrient is often called the sunshine vitamin, but the truth is that it functions more like a hormone than a simple vitamin. It is produced in your skin when exposed to sunlight and then converted into its active form by your liver and kidneys. From there, it influences hundreds of processes in the body, including energy metabolism, bone strength, immune defense, and even sexual health. Here is what the research shows. Low vitamin D levels are widespread among older men, particularly in regions with limited sun exposure. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, nearly 50% of adults worldwide are deficient in vitamin D, and the risk rises significantly after the age of 60. One large study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that men with low vitamin D levels were more likely to have low testosterone, higher rates of fatigue, and reduced sexual performance. Why is this so critical? Testosterone, often thought of as the male hormone of vitality, is influenced by vitamin D. Several clinical trials have shown that men with sufficient vitamin D have higher testosterone levels on average compared to those who are deficient. In addition, vitamin D supports the health of your vascular system, ensuring that blood vessels remain flexible and capable of delivering blood efficiently. And as you know, healthy circulation is a cornerstone of both physical energy and sexual performance. Think of vitamin D as the ignition key for your body's engine. Without it, the engine might still run, but it will sputter, misfire, and lose power. With adequate vitamin D, the system runs more smoothly, allowing testosterone to be produced efficiently, bones to remain strong, and muscles to recover faster. Unfortunately, getting enough vitamin D becomes harder with age. Skin loses some of its ability to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight. Spending more time indoors compounds the problem. Even diet alone rarely provides enough, though foods like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified milk do contribute. That is why deficiency is so common and why awareness is so important. The Mayo Clinic recommends checking vitamin D levels with a simple blood test, especially for men over 60. If you are deficient, supplementation can make a measurable difference. A study in hormone and metabolic research demonstrated that men who supplemented vitamin D over a 12-month period experienced a significant increase in testosterone levels compared to those who did not. This is not a miracle pill, but it is a foundational tool. In my practice, I often remind men that vitamin D is not just about bone health. It is about mood, mental clarity, muscle strength, and sexual vitality. It is the base of the pyramid that supports so many other systems. If you are tired, irritable, or noticing a decline in performance, testing and addressing vitamin D is one of the simplest, most evidence-based first steps. If this is helping clarify things for you, give this video a thumbs up and continue learning with us. And if you have ever had your vitamin D checked, share your experience in the comments. It is a conversation many men need, but few are having. Now we will turn to the second essential vitamin, vitamin B12. You will learn why it is one of the most common deficiencies after 60, how it directly impacts your stamina and energy, and what you can do about it. Now let us move to the second essential vitamin for men over 60, vitamin B12. If vitamin D is the ignition key for your body's engine, vitamin B12 is like the spark plug that keeps the engine firing smoothly. Without it, the system may turn over, but will struggle to generate power. Vitamin B12 plays a central role in red blood cell production, nerve function, and DNA synthesis. Red blood cells are what carry oxygen throughout your body, fueling your muscles, brain, and even your sexual organs. Without adequate B12, those cells become fewer in number or poorly formed, which leads to fatigue, weakness, and in some cases, anemia. Here is what the research shows. The National Institutes of Health reports that as many as 20% of adults over 60 may have some degree of B12 deficiency, often without realizing it. This is largely due to changes in digestion. Remember how we discussed stomach acid declining with age? B12 needs stomach acid and a protein called intrinsic factor to be absorbed. As these decrease, even a B12-rich diet, including foods like meat, fish, or dairy, may not be enough. A landmark study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults with low B12 levels reported significantly higher rates of fatigue, cognitive decline, and balance issues compared to those with adequate levels. And because B12 supports nerve health, low levels have been linked to numbness, tingling, and slower reflexes, things that can quietly chip away at independence and quality of life. But the connection to vitality goes even deeper. B12 deficiency has been linked to erectile dysfunction, largely because of its impact on nitric oxide production, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and allow proper circulation. Without it, blood flow is restricted, and that affects both physical stamina and sexual performance. Think of it like your home's electrical wiring. When the wires are intact, energy flows efficiently and lights switch on instantly. But when the insulation is frayed or the current is weak, you get flickering lights, power surges, and outages. B12 keeps your nervous system wired properly, ensuring that signals move smoothly from brain to body, including the signals that control arousal, erection, and orgasm. So how do you know if you are low? Common symptoms include unexplained fatigue, memory lapses, irritability, tingling in the hands or feet, and decreased endurance with exercise or even daily activity. If you notice these, it is worth asking your doctor for a simple blood test. Treatment is highly effective depending on the cause. B12 can be supplemented orally, under the tongue, or through injections if absorption is a major problem. Many of my patients report that once their B12 levels are restored, they feel as if a fog has lifted, energy improves, mood stabilizes, and performance follows. This is something I see a lot in my practice. Men who believe they are just slowing down with age when in fact their bodies are missing a key ingredient for vitality. And the best part is, once identified, it is one of the most correctable deficiencies in medicine. Comment below if this resonates with you. Have you ever felt unexplained fatigue that no amount of sleep seemed to fix? You are not alone, and it may not be aging, it may be B12. Now, we will turn to the third essential vitamin, vitamin E. You will see why this overlooked nutrient is deeply tied to circulation, performance, and protecting your vitality from within. Now let us explore the third essential vitamin for men over 60, vitamin E. This one is often overlooked in conversations about men's health, yet it plays a critical role in protecting your blood vessels, supporting circulation, and enhancing sexual performance. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant. That means its primary job is to guard your cells against oxidative stress, the gradual wear and tear caused by free radicals. Think of oxidative stress like rust forming on metal over time. Without protection, the rust spreads and weakens the structure. In the body, that rust shows up as damage to blood vessels, nerves, and tissues that are essential for energy and performance. Here is what the research shows. A review published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry highlighted vitamin E's role in improving vascular health by reducing oxidative damage in arteries. Healthier arteries mean better blood flow, and as we know, circulation is at the core of both cardiovascular vitality and erectile function. Another study in the International Journal of Impotence Research suggested that vitamin E combined with other antioxidants improved erectile function in men with vascular-related erectile dysfunction. Vitamin E also supports testosterone balance indirectly by protecting the cells in the testes from oxidative stress. Animal and human studies have shown that deficiency in vitamin E can impair fertility and hormone production, while adequate levels protect and sustain these processes. Think of vitamin E as the oil that keeps your body's machinery from grinding down too quickly. Without it, friction builds, vessels stiffen, and blood has a harder time reaching the places it needs to go. With it, circulation improves, recovery from exercise or daily strain is smoother, and tissues remain more resilient. The challenge is that vitamin E is not as commonly discussed as vitamin D or B12, and many men simply do not get enough from diet alone. Good sources include nuts and seeds, especially almonds, sunflower seeds, and hazelnuts, as well as spinach, broccoli, and avocados. Since vitamin E is fat-soluble, it is best absorbed when consumed with healthy fats like olive oil or salmon. Supplementation can be helpful, but caution is needed. Very high doses of vitamin E supplements have been linked with increased risk of bleeding, especially in men taking blood thinners. This is why the Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health emphasize getting vitamin E primarily from food and only using supplements under medical guidance. In my practice, I remind men that vitamin E is not about quick fixes or performance enhancers. It is about protecting the foundation, your blood vessels, your circulation, your cellular health. When those systems are strong, energy levels rise naturally, recovery improves, and sexual performance becomes more reliable. So if you are over 60 and looking for ways to sustain your vitality, do not underestimate the quiet power of vitamin E. Adding a handful of nuts to your diet daily or incorporating green vegetables can be a small but powerful step. Now, we will connect these three vitamins, D, B12, and E, to real-life habits. We will look at how diet, sunlight, and smart supplementation work together, and how to do this safely without falling into the trap of unnecessary or excessive supplementation. We have now walked through the three essential vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin B12, and vitamin E. But here is the next question. How do you realistically bring these into your daily life in a way that is safe, effective, and sustainable? Let us start with vitamin D. The most natural source is sunlight. Just 15 to 30 minutes of direct sun exposure to the skin a few times a week can support vitamin D production. But here is the challenge. As we age, the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D declines. Add to that the fact that many of us spend more time indoors, and it is no surprise deficiency is widespread. That is why the Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health recommend having your vitamin D levels checked through a blood test. If levels are low, supplementation in the range of 800 to 2,000 international units daily is often recommended, though your exact dose should be tailored by your doctor. Now, vitamin B12, For men over 60, food sources such as salmon, tuna, eggs, and dairy remain excellent, but absorption can be tricky. If your doctor identifies a deficiency, oral tablets, sublingual under-the-tongue drops, or even injections may be suggested depending on severity. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine confirmed that supplementation reliably reverses deficiency symptoms, often leading to noticeable improvements in energy and mental clarity within weeks. The key is not to guess, get tested first, then treat. For vitamin E, the best strategy is diet. One handful of almonds, sunflower seeds, or hazelnuts per day provides a substantial amount. Leafy greens like spinach and kale or avocados with olive oil further add to your daily intake. If you are considering supplements, the National Institutes of Health advises sticking close to the recommended daily allowance, which is 15 milligrams for adults, and avoiding high-dose pills unless medically advised. Here's a practical way to think about it. Build your daily habits around balance, not extremes. A breakfast of eggs with sautéed spinach, a lunch that includes salmon or tuna, and a snack of nuts in the afternoon already covers significant ground for B12 and vitamin E. Pair that with regular outdoor time for sunlight exposure, and you are stacking the deck in your favor before supplements even come into play. But let us also acknowledge reality. Many men are dealing with chronic conditions, medications, or reduced appetites that make it hard to consistently eat in this way. That is where carefully chosen supplementation under guidance becomes a valuable tool. Think of it as insurance, filling the gaps when diet and lifestyle alone are not enough. This is something I tell my patients regularly. Supplementation should not be about chasing a magic pill. It should be about targeted support, guided by testing, and layered on top of a solid foundation of diet and lifestyle. That is how you see results without falling into the trap of overdosing or wasting money on unproven products. So as you consider how to apply this, ask yourself, which of these vitamins might I be missing the most? Could I start with something as simple as a daily handful of nuts, more time in the sun, or asking my doctor to check my B12? Small, consistent steps are far more powerful than extreme overhauls. Now, we will separate fact from myth. We will address common misconceptions around megadosing, miracle cures, and one-size-fits-all solutions. Because when it comes to vitamins and vitality, clarity matters more than hype. Now that we have covered the practical steps to integrate these vitamins into your daily life, let us spend some time separating fact from myth. This is one of the most important parts of the conversation because misinformation is everywhere and it can leave men either discouraged or chasing the wrong solutions. The first myth is that more is always better. You have probably seen advertisements suggesting that mega dosing on vitamins can supercharge your energy, reverse aging, or guarantee stronger sexual performance. But here's what the research shows: the body does not work that way. Vitamins are not like caffeine, where more gives a bigger immediate boost. Instead, they act more like keys that unlock cellular processes. Once the lock is open, adding more keys does not make the door open any wider. For example, vitamin D is essential, but taking extremely high doses without monitoring can lead to calcium buildup in the blood, which may damage the kidneys and heart. Similarly, vitamin E is protective at normal levels, but can increase bleeding risk if taken in very high doses, especially for men on blood-thinning medications. The Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health both stress this point. Supplementation should aim for sufficiency, not excess. The second myth is that vitamins can replace lifestyle. It is tempting to think I will just take a pill and not worry about my diet or exercise. But vitamins are only one piece of the vitality puzzle. If your diet lacks diversity, if you are sedentary, or if sleep is chronically poor, vitamins alone cannot offset that. Think of them like oil in a car, necessary for function, but useless if the engine itself is neglected. The third myth is that natural always means safe. Just because a supplement is sold over the counter or labeled as natural does not guarantee it is harmless. In fact, the supplement industry is less tightly regulated than pharmaceuticals, which means dosages, purity, and even listed ingredients are not always consistent. That is why it is so important to purchase from reputable brands and to involve your doctor in the conversation. Another confusion I often see in practice is the one-size-fits-all mindset. Men will hear about a supplement that worked for their neighbor or read about a celebrity's regimen and assume it will have the same effect for them. But biology is individual. Your needs at 60 may differ greatly from another man's based on your health history, medications, and genetic background. This is why testing for vitamin D, B12, and sometimes antioxidant status is so valuable. It allows for precision, not guesswork. Finally, let us address the myth that deficiencies are rare. Many men assume that because they eat well enough, they could not possibly be lacking in vitamins. But studies from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show otherwise. Significant portions of the adult population, especially those over 60, fall short on vitamin D, B12, and vitamin E. These gaps are not always obvious. Sometimes the only symptoms are subtle fatigue, reduced performance, or slower recovery. So here is the takeaway. Vitamins are powerful tools, but they must be used wisely. Avoid mega dosing, avoid self-prescribing based on internet trends, and focus on sufficiency through food, sunlight, and guided supplementation when needed. Now, as we come to the conclusion of this session, let us tie everything together. I will recap the science, the myths we have addressed, and most importantly, leave you with one clear action step you can start today to support your energy, performance, and vitality. We have covered a lot of ground together today. We began by looking at why men over 60 are more vulnerable to deficiencies. Changes in digestion, medication use, and lifestyle all play a role. We then explored 3 essential vitamins that research has consistently tied to energy, performance, and vitality: vitamin D, vitamin B12, and vitamin E. Along the way, we saw how each one acts as a key player. Vitamin D supporting testosterone and circulation, vitamin B12 fueling red blood cells and nerve function, and vitamin E protecting blood vessels and cellular health. Here is what the research shows. Deficiencies in these vitamins are not rare, and they are not trivial. They can silently erode energy, weaken performance, and diminish quality of life. But here is the empowering truth. They are also some of the easiest problems to identify and correct. With awareness, testing, and small daily adjustments, you can restore balance and reclaim vitality. We also separated fact from myth. We clarified that more is not always better, that supplements cannot replace lifestyle, and that natural does not always mean safe. And we emphasized that personalization matters. Your needs are unique, and your path forward should be guided by testing and professional advice, not guesswork or trends. So what is one action you can take today? Start simple. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D and B12 levels at your next visit. That single step can give you clarity, uncover hidden deficiencies, and open the door to targeted solutions. Pair that with one practical habit, like adding a handful of nuts to your day for vitamin E, or spending 15 minutes in the sun when possible, and you are already moving in the right direction. Remember, this is not about chasing youth. It is about giving your body the support it needs to keep showing up for the life you want to live. Whether that means more energy for exercise, sharper focus at work or in retirement, or a stronger connection with your partner, the foundation is within your reach. You do not have to be afraid of your body. You just need good information, and you deserve that information without fear, without shame, and without confusion. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, small, consistent choices can create meaningful changes in how you feel each day. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more grounded, shame-free health content drawn directly from the clinic and the latest science. I will see you in the next one.